In this video, we will be addressing production of orange-fleshed sweet potatoes in South Africa. Sweet potato spread with the first settlers from South America via Europe to South Africa. In South Africa, sweet potatoes are produced commercially as well as by small-scale farmers. In this video, we will be addressing agronomic practices as used by small-scale producers. They mainly produce for home consumption, with some sales at informal markets. Very few, if any, have been sending their produce to a national fresh produce market or even local supermarkets. Sweet potatoes can be produced in all the provinces in South Africa, but main production is practiced in Limpopo, Mpumalanga, where Makoko and Mazinde, our two FPR sites for Work Package 3, can be found, as well as in KwaZulu-Natal and the Western Cape. The activities listed in the sweet potato cropping calendar will be focused on in this video. The information on the general production, harvesting, storage, etc. can be found in the practical guides which have been prepared alongside this video. The activities marked with an X is applicable to both Mazinde and Makoko, while those marked XMZ is only applicable to Mazinde. Due to the milder winters as well as the availability of irrigation infrastructure in Mazinde, planting can commence earlier and continue later, leading to the possibility of a longer cropping and marketing cycle for Mazinde. In terms of the soil, a well-drained sandy loam is preferred, while heavy clay soils should be avoided as they can retard root development, resulting in growth cracks and poor root shapes. More insect activity is also associated with heavier soils, and farmers will need to control soil-living insects from early on. For good aeration and ease of harvesting, sweet potatoes should be established on ridges around 30 centimeters in height and 1 meter apart. Before planting commences, fertilizer has to be applied. Soil analysis should be done, but due to cost, fertilizer application rates are mainly based on crop removal figures. Estimated crop removal in kilograms per hectare is 100 kilograms of nitrogen, 90 kilograms of phosphorus, and 200 kilograms of potassium per hectare. To increase fertilizer use efficiency, it is recommended that the fertilizer is applied in a 10 to 15 centimeter deep furrow made on the ridge. After application of the fertilizer, the fertilizer should be covered with some swirl before placing the vine cuttings in the furrow. This is to prevent the fertilizer from damaging the cuttings. Various cultivars are available, but the two orange-fleshed sweet potato cultivars Kumo and Popelo are recommended. Both give good yields and are readily available in South Africa. Unfortunately, the cuttings had to be collected in the Northwest Province, around 6 hours drive from Makoko and Mazinde. The cuttings are also very bulky, making transport costs very high. Going forward, farmers in these two areas are encouraged to become suppliers of vine cuttings for the surrounding farmers. Upon receiving of vines, it has to be cut in lengths of around 40 centimeters. These cuttings are then placed in the furrow with the fertilizer and covered as soon as possible after being laid into the furrows. Weeds may be a problem over the whole season. Spraying with a non-selective herbicide before planting has been an effective method to control weeds. After plant, hand hoeing should commence and continue till close to harvest time, but care should always be taken to prevent damage to the roots. A couple of insects have been causing problems, especially in Mazinde with the heavier clay soils. The snout beetle and white grub caused some surface damage, but it was not at all as severe as the sweet potato weevil damage. The weevil damage resulted in total destruction on some farms, and therefore application of applicable insecticides from the day of tuber formation till harvesting are essential. No issues with diseases were reported, but to prevent disease occurrence or even building up of diseases, disease-free cuttings should be used, and crop rotation with maize or even a cabbage type crop should be considered. Not only insects and diseases can cause damage. Root cracking due to too much water or too high temperatures were observed. There is very little that can be done to prevent this. Rodents were an issue in both Mazinthe and Makoko and caused huge yield losses. Rodent bait should be placed around the fields soon after planting up to the day of harvest. Physical damage, mainly due to harrowing, can cause a wound that will leave a scar. Harvesting can commence around 18 weeks after planting. The rule of thumb is to harvest when 70% of the field have reached the desired size of between 250 grams and 1 kilogram. The sweet potatoes can be dug out using a garden fork or hand hoe, but care should be taken not to damage the produce. After harvesting, the excess soil is shaken from the sweet potatoes, then placed in a crate and taken to the packaging area. At the packaging area, or even under a shady tree, the remainder of the soil should be washed off and the tubers left to dry before it is sorted and packaged. Marketable sizes are between 250 grams and 1 kilogram, while long, thin roots of less than 250 grams is considered as being too small, and roots bigger than 1 kilogram is too big. The sweet potatoes going to the formal market should be placed in a woven mesh type vegetable bag, and each bag of the same size should weigh the same. Damaged roots, as well as those that are too small, should not be sent to the formal fresh produce market, but rather used for home consumption or sold from home or at local informal markets. The information presented in this video was made possible with the aid of InnoFood Africa, a research and innovation action project funded by the European Union. The photos presented were taken at the Farm Participatory Research sites of Makoko and Mazinthe in the Mpumalanga province of South Africa. Similar work is being carried out in 4 African countries, namely Ethiopia, Kenya, South Africa and Uganda. In this illustration, the links between the different work packages are presented. If you would like to find out more about the activities of InnoFood Africa, please visit our website at innofoodafrica.eu or contact us by sending an email to info@innofoodafrica.eu.